Hello children, welcome to the science class. Today we will learn about chapter 9. So children, open your book, page number 89. Chapter 9, Living and Non-Living Things. Children, from this chapter we will learn about characteristics of living things, components of habitat. Children, we see many things around us. Some of these things are natural and some are created by human beings. Natural things can be living or non-living. All the animals and plants are living things. Let's see the characteristics of living things. All living things are made up of cells and share the following characteristics. They are cellular body, movement, excretion, response to stimuli, need for food, reproduction, growth, respiration, lifespan. So children, first we discuss about cellular body. Living things are made of cells. A cell is the smallest structural and functional unit of life. Children, you remember, cell is the smallest structural and functional unit of life. When a group of cells work together to perform a function, they form a tissue. Several tissues performing a specific function form an organ. Then organs together make up an organ system. Such a structure of a living organism is known as a cellular structure. Some plants and animals have only single cell. For example, amoeba. They are known as unicellular organisms as they have single cell. Other plants and animals have a body made up of many cells. For example, human beings. They are known as multicellular organisms. Non-living things do not have a cellular structure. Here children, you see cells are work together then form tissues. Then tissues work together form organ. Organ works together form organ system. Then organ system works together organism. And this is cellular structure of a living organism. Then second characteristic is response to stimuli. Living things react to changes around them. A change that produces a response in an organism is called a stimulus. And the immediate reaction to adjust oneself according to the change is called response. So children, you remember what is stimulus and what is response. We react to touch, light, heat, cold and sound. These responses to environmental changes or stimuli are seen only in living things. Plants also respond to stimuli. For example, the leaves of the touch-me-not plant start dropping the moment we touch them. Non-living things do not respond to stimuli. Then third characteristic is living things grow. Living things grow. For example, a chick develops into a hen, a seed develops into a sapling, A child develops into an adult. A puppy grows into a dog. As living things grow, cells and tissues, they become larger and more complex as they grow. Non-living things do not grow. Fourth characteristic is living things move. Animals move from one place to another in search of food, shelter, and protection from their predators. All the living organisms show movement of one or another kind. They also have internal movement, which means that they have the ability of moving substances from one part of their body to another. Many living organisms show external movement as well. They can move from place to place by walking, flying, or swimming. Movement from one place to another is called locomotion. So children, what is locomotion? Movement from one place to another is called locomotion. Plants remain fixed at one place, but they also show movements. For example, a sunflower always faces the sun. The opening and closing of stomata and blossoming of flowers are examples of movement. Fifth characteristic is living things need food. Living things need food to obtain energy, to grow, and to stay healthy. The process by which living organisms obtain food and use it to obtain energy is called nutrition. Plants are called producers or autotrophs as they make their own food using carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. This process is called photosynthesis. All the animals are consumers or heterotrophs and depend on plants and other living organisms to derive nutrition. Non-living things and dead organisms do not need food. Sixth characteristic is living things respire. Living things need energy to carry on a series of functions. They need oxygen to be able to convert their food into energy. The process of releasing energy by burning the food we have consumed with the help of oxygen is called respiration. Most of the animals have different organs to breathe. Some animals have different ways of carrying out the respiration. For example, earthworms breathe through their moist skin. Fishes use their gills to take in oxygen present in the surrounding water. Plants breathe through very tiny pores present on the leaves called stomata. They use carbon dioxide and give out oxygen during photosynthesis. Non-living things do not respire. Seventh characteristic is living things excrete. Most of the food we eat is utilized by our body to release energy. The body also produces waste when it carries out various life processes. The process of the removal of waste from the body is known as excretion. Okay. If this waste is allowed to remain in the body, it could harm the body. Some animals also produce liquid waste called urine. Human beings also release waste when they breathe out. Plants excrete waste products through the stomata. Plants also store waste products in leaves. They are removed when the leaves fall off. Some harmful substances produced in plants cannot be excreted through the stomata. Latex, gum, and resin are some such harmful waste products of plants which are very useful to us. Non-living things do not excrete. Then 8th characteristic is living things reproduce. Living things produce young ones and increase in numbers. The process of producing their young ones by living beings is known as reproduction. For example, human beings give birth to babies, cats produce kittens, and pigeons lay eggs. Plants also reproduce. Seeds germinate and grow into new plants. In some plants, a portion of the plant can grow into a new plant. For example, cutting of a rose bush are used to grow new rose bushes. Non-living things cannot give birth to one of their kind. 9th characteristic is living things have a lifespan. Each type of living things has its own lifespan. The duration between the birth and the death of a living thing is called its lifespan. The changes that happen in the life of an animal or plant is known as its life cycle. All the living organisms follow a cycle. Some organisms, like some seasonal plants, grow and die quickly within a season. Other organisms, like the bristlecone pine trees, have life cycles which go on for thousands of years. Non-living things do not have a definite lifespan. Let us see average lifespan of some organisms. First one you see bacteria. The lifespan of bacteria is 20 minutes. Then the lifespan of housefly is 1 to 4 months. Then the lifespan of mouse is 2 to 3 years. Then squirrel lifespan is 6 to 10 years. A dog lifespan is 10 to 13 years. A lion lifespan is 10 to 14 years. Then horse lifespan is 20 to 30 years. An ostrich lifespan is 30 to 40 years. An elephant lifespan is 60 to 70 years. Human beings lifespan is 60 to 70 years. A tortoise lifespan is 120 to 150 years. This is the highest lifespan of tortoise. Let us discuss about difference between living things and non-living things. 1 number, living things are made up of cells. Non-living things are not made up of any cells. 2 number, living things grow. Non-living things cannot grow. 3 number, they show movement and the energy to move comes from within. Movement occurs only when external force is applied. 4 number, living things need food to carry out everyday activities. They do not require food. 5 number, They breathe and respire to release energy from the food. But they do not respire. 6 number, living things reproduce to create individuals of their own kind, but they do not reproduce. 7 number, living things are part of biotic component, but non-living things are part of abiotic components. Living things or organisms are different from each other in some way or the other. There are many factors that cause this variation. One of them is the environment in which an organism lives. The word environment comes from the word environ, which means surroundings. The environment is the surrounding in which a living organism lives. It is also called the habitat of a living organism. The environment consists of two major components. The living world, that is the biotic component, and the non-living world, that is the abiotic component. Components of habitat. The natural place where an organism lives is called its habitat. A habitat includes physical surroundings like water, air, and soil, climate, and all organisms living around. All these things are grouped under the following two components: abiotic or physical components and biotic or living components. So children, physical components are known as abiotic and living components are known as biotic. Non-living are abiotic. Then abiotic components. Abiotic components are non-living physical factors of a habitat. These are light, temperature, air, water, and soil. These have direct effect on the living organism. Then light. The sun is the ultimate source of light on the earth. Light affects photosynthesis, movement, flowering, growth, germination, etc. in plants. It keeps some animals more active during daytime than at night. Then temperature. Temperature affects various activities such as feeding, movement, growth, reproduction, etc. of living organisms. Then air. All the living organisms take in oxygen from air for respiration and give out carbon dioxide. Plants take in carbon dioxide gas from air for making their food. During this process, they release oxygen gas, which is used by all the living beings for respiration. Then water. Water is an essential constituent of the life of body of all the organisms. No organism can live without water. Living beings need water for carrying out their life activities. Soil. Soil is important for living things. It is essential for plants. Plants take water and minerals from soil and grow in it. Animals get food from the plants. Many animals live in the soil by making burrows and holes. Then, biotic components. Life forms such as plants, animals, and humans are called biotic components. These are grouped as producers means plants, consumers means animals, and decomposers means microorganisms. On the basis of the waste, they utilize the energy. The first one is producers. Green plants are called the producers because they produce food on the earth. They contain a green pigment called chlorophyll. With the help of chlorophyll, green plants produce food in the presence of sunlight using carbon dioxide and water. This process is called photosynthesis. Since plants produce their own food, they are called autotrophs. Thus, all animals and non-green plants depend on green plants for food. Consumers. Animals cannot prepare their own food. They consume either plants or other animals, so they are called consumers or heterotrophs. There are three types of consumers: herbivores, carnivores or omnivores. Herbivores means the animals feed on plants and plant products. They are called primary consumers. For example, cow, deer, elephant, horse, etc. Then carnivores. The animals feed on other animals are called carnivores. For example, lion, tiger, wolf, etc. They are called secondary consumers. Then omnivores. The animals feed on both plants and animals are omnivores. For example, humans, crow, bear, etc. Then decomposers. Certain microorganisms like bacteria and fungi are called decomposers because they break down the dead parts of plants and bodies of dead animals and release nutrients from them into the environment. Thus, they help in recycling of minerals or nutrients in nature. Decomposers are called nature's cleaners because they keep the environment free of dead and rotting matter by consuming or breaking down them. Without decomposers, the earth would have been a heap of dead and decaying matter. So children, this is about your chapter 9. Again, you read this lesson properly. Thank you.